This is a monthly celebration we've been doing since 4/4 every month, Val.
It's so exciting to hit on these vortex days, and every time we bring in these new energies, because the new energies are through the people as well. They're the guests hold the frequency of the day as well. It's like a divine coincidence that they're connected to the energy somehow.
Right. So talk about your work with the Magdalene Mysteries and this month of Magdalene kind of downloads, and then we'll introduce the guests. Yeah.
Yes. So the Magdalene Mysteries are basically esoteric wisdom connected all the way back to Sumeria, back all the way into Sirius. And it's a galactic event. People don't realize, like, they want to humanize Mary Magdalene and all of the goddesses, but we don't realize that these beings are actually extraterrestrial beings just kind of coming into a body for the time being so that they can bring in the ascension energies. And people have a hard time believing this, but once you connect and you realize that they're just showing us what we're capable of, the possibility of ascension here is absolutely real, and it's happening now. We're in that age. We're moving into that golden age, and we just have to hold that intention in our hearts of knowing and expanding our hearts to everyone. And so feeling that oneness will actually bring in the ascension. It's that simple now.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we have Honi and Michael who are actually anchoring as their forces come together. This the ascension.
I'm so excited to have them on here.
Right. But can you tell us a little bit about your background? Just like, and how you come into the mysteries here, how you are activating it together and separately.
So thank you so much for having us on, and just the true joy and blessings to be here to share on this divine 7/7 gateway. That's very, very symbolic for this month.
It is a gateway. That's right. You're right. We are.
And Michael and I prepared our vessels for this. We sat in it and just to prepare both of our vessels and bring the union together so that those that come into this frequency field can also receive it on multidimensional level. Michael and I are a sacred divine union in form, carrying the Magdalene and Yeshua frequency of light for delivering the golden age into Gaia's crystalline corridor, particularly the diamond grids, so that the golden age can be delivered for the planetary ascension. We're very focused on this, as it's been the calling for individually and then our unity coming together when we crossed path 3.5 years ago. So me being an incarnate in this incarnation in the Middle East was very significant, coming into the incarnation of Iran and facing everything that is in opposition of the Magdalene voice, the Magdalene consciousness, the Magdalene presence and its essence, and in complete opposition of suppression, depression, oppression, and all of that. And so mine was first triggered by a very young age as sexual abuse, for it to be repressed and suppressed from family member at the age of 1. And then for that then to go through several journey in this incarnation to experience the depth of degree of separation from divinity and this Christ light, and having to go through that discovery of the inner resurrection to be able to forgive it through divine mercy and divine compassion, including mine being the abuser, and coming on the other side of it to stand in my own resurrection, ascension flame, and allow everything else to transmute, transform. From that, and also to several death experiences, but actual physical death that Val knows 8 years ago when I've actually died, crossed over, and did get a chance to meet beloved Yeshua and others to then bring the all that was shown to me, including the time of Lemuria and Atlantis back on Earth to finish this last human incarnation in delivering the golden age. And it was several years before that my divine counterpart will be joining so that we can do it through the ascension alchemy presence. And that's what we are in service to, by that in which we have truly alchemized and we are anchored properly into crystalline quarter of Gaia so that we can our walk and living example of the Christ light, the Sophia Christ that light, and the Magdalene voice of truth, what that's like to be embodied. And that's from my perspective.
And I believe that the universe brought me into the ultimate training of the Magdalene expression of unconditional love, because I could not have two beautiful, more of a beautiful family that just cultivated the love, the compassion, and just the early rites of passage of the Magdalene voice within my beingness. And so it's been a journey throughout of my expansion of not only going from coast to coast, but throughout the world, and really expanding this heart within until meeting Honi, that we literally jumped on the road to do our planetary healing in unique sacred areas all throughout the world, and continuing to bring forth this sacred love that we not only hold, but we realize that's within us to unite. So it's a blessing that we have come together and really just serve for the highest good of all, and in our devotion to the divine.
It's beautiful, the balance, the divine masculine, divine feminine, and I think this could be externalized in your case or internalized in this ascension. Don't you think, Val?
Yes, it's very inspiring to see this union, because this is what everybody strives for. We are in that time where we are seeing Heros Gamos, sacred union. It's happening more and more, and it's only because there's more of a deeper healing and a self-awakening in ourselves.
So I think the Magdalene, particularly the focus on that is the coming of the feminine power, the equalization of the divine as woman.
Yeah. And the seven, if you look at the seven, I'm just thinking about this now, it's like a chair, right? And there's like two thrones. And if two sevens, 7, you're sitting two people at the chair, the king and the queen. And I think this is I think this is why Source God has chosen both of you today for this transmission, is because we're focusing more and more on that, how the sacred union of the divine masculine, divine feminine are really coming through in the energies on the planet right now.
You know what? Go ahead. Oh, go ahead, Honi.
I was going to say, because I love the couple of things that you both touched upon. And again, this is the start. It's going to be like this. So the healing that Valerie, you spoke of, there are many that are called to their divine encounter to be here, to walk that, be part of the 144,000 and even beyond. It is part of our multidimensional selves from many different extraterrestrial notion, and carrying the codes and carrying the codes and the living vibration streams to bring it here. And when we come into encounter, we've prepared our vessel in all wondrous ways, but when we come together, the union itself goes through the initiation, and there are multiple layers of initiation. And I really feel the significance of 7. It is the 7th gateway you have to go through each of our chakras. Like today, we really work with each of us meeting at the 7th gateway of each of our chakras to bring the crystalline diamond light in there and the voice of the Magdalene. So for example, the feminine body, the vagina itself, right, is so sacred. it looks exactly identical to the vocal cords of the throat.
Mm.
So these two look exactly the same, because when that sound open up, this sound opens up, it is the universal sound. So we are coming, for me, the Magdalene consciousness and presence is all about the voice of its divine truth passing through the gateway of the divine heart. Can we hone that? Can we anchor that? Can we speak from that, the gracious presence from there, where it's just so pure and clear. There's no hesitation, there's no disharmony in its living vibration, because it carries the presence, the mighty presence, and it does connect to the seven rays of light and even more. And so there's a lot this, and this 7-7 for us is a seven coded. It has to do with the light stream that have its own tones and sound, and it is to be anchored into the seven chakras on Gaia. So tonight we have our every week, Alan, we have our unity meditation for holding the divine love for Gaia and humanity. Tonight is the 31st week that we hold this. It's free, everybody's invited, and we just sit in here and anchor the frequency into the Christ conscious grid on Gaia, because it is breathing it, so we can then breathe together the Magdalene voice, the Magdalene breath, the Magdalene sound that has become harmonized.
Mm.
Where can people find that? I'll put that in the chat here.
I put it on our both of our pages, and the
Okay.
Ascension Alchemist.
Look at
The link is in there. Yes, and everybody's welcome. It's 30 minutes, but we prepare the body and we go sit in it in silence, and it's incredible what we experience.
So what does the Magdalene breath mean to both of you?
So Michael, why don't you?
When I feel the Magdalene breath, I feel the voice of compassion, the voice of love, and really the voice of wisdom. I was honored a year ago to be invited to the Magdalene feast that Honi led as the only sacred divine masculine, to witness a ceremony that really touched my heart, because I sat and saw the grace, the beauty, and just the voice of what comes forward when there is the wisdom of the sacred feminine divine honoring one another, respecting one another, and really holding one in the highest purity of love and light. And when I feel the Magdalene breath, it's like this soft, compassionate, loving energy that for me naturally radiates through me when I'm activated by my beloved. And when I say activate, just in the presence, in the unity of what's coming forward.
What does that look like? Does it look like a certain thing, the breath, or can you show us, or is it
It means so many things, you know, and
is it one thing though?
I also see
breath is the liberation. The breath is the liberation of the voice, and the voice within our hearts. There's something we talk about love. We talk about unconditional. There's a lot that the words are spoken in attempt to capture, but it still falls short from capturing its presence. But when we come to its breath and allow its breath through its sound vibrate out, it is the soul sound that vibrates so free, so easy. And it's not a singing sound, because it's the resonance of the sound from the heart creator that is so liberated, because it sees really from like the lens of the ego. It's so far beyond. And within the byproduct of it is freedom. And that sound, like sometimes when we have ceremonies in the gathering, we take people in that place to start tuning into that breath, to start feeling the pulse of that drum beat, and start tuning in and get into it before they start letting the natural vibration come up. But it has to come from underneath. It can't just come from here. It has to come through the lower chakras so that it can be fully anchored. And then when it's anchored, then it vibrates through the air in the breath in here, and then vibrates out. So the way it vibrates out, so for both Michael and I, allowing to use our voice, I mean, forever I was told as a child, like what a horrible voice I have, how awful it is, and how terrible it is. And I always wanted to sing, but I just couldn't. And I was too shy, like just too embarrassed. So as Michael. But eventually I did, because of holding this energy so back for so long. And by being told you just cannot, and again, coming from the Middle East, so much as a female, you cannot suppress, like just chopped up in every way. So finally, I actually, Alan, I did in 2008, January 2012, I did die from the illness that had attacked my thyroid.
Oh,
And finally, my heart stopped. I mean, illness had taken all over my body, but because this was so close. But when I was sent back, the first thing that happened, my voice opened up. But it wasn't this voice, it was the voice of the breath of the Magdalene that is here to communicate. And on top of that, from there I began getting on the road, because I was told to go for this planetary assignment to bring the breath, the sound of earth back out. So I was positioned in all these different places, and I would have to go to these remote, very remote places, 5 years myself before Michael came into the picture. So I can go into this trance space, and I can start spiraling the energy field and allow the voice to vibrate from underneath through me, where I become the voice and the breath, and vibrate out. And they carried keys and codes in it, in its liberation freedom, so that the trachea of earth can breathe again. Because what I have been able to recognize is Divine Mother and Gaia and us, we are synchronizing in the same pulse. And the great order of Melchizedek has showed us we all are coming back into this sound, vibration, breath, which is the Magdalene voice.
yeah, no, I'm so happy you're talking about this, because one of the things I did want to bring up, which you're bringing out, is the mystery, the actual Magdalene mystery, the feminine mysteries, because we know the masculine now, it's the external, and it's kind of gotten us to the brink of disaster because we've forgotten half of who we are. So we need to talk about this, and Val has a lot of wisdom in this area because she's investigated this, because it hasn't been talked about, and it's such an inner thing, and we're finished with the external. We have to go in and discover
The breath isn't the breath internal? And so
yeah,
it's breathe.
exactly.
So there is the breath is everything. It's life force energy. You know, there's a teaching that the breaths of our being are counted. The divine has given us a certain amount of breaths, and then until the breath, that last breath you take is when you leave your body. In the Bible, there is called the Holy Ruach, and it's, if you call the Holy Ruach, it's basically the breath of the Holy Spirit. Some people call it the fire of the Holy Spirit. And when I think of the dragon's breath, and then this is why the dragon is so important with Mary Magdalene. And the point of the breath, the dragon breath, is to burn away the impurities and to really go back to one's pure self, and going back into that heart space and using that breath, that voice, to express pure frequency. And that comes from love, and it always goes back to love. So it's all aligning here. And you know, it's amazing because we have this saying now in America, I can't breathe. And it's been posted in so many signs, and it's really, it's not because of this one situation, Floyd, but all of America can't breathe right now. They haven't realized the power of their own breath and the power of their own voice. And so we're all going back to that and realizing, well, why can't I breathe?
Yeah, I think we are uncovering a new way of being. We are discovering that we can become different creatures, different humans, and more evolved. This is, the breath and the ascension are so interconnected, you know, and the 7-7. We're reaching now in this progress, the 7-7, in this phase of a new reality. That's why I call my show New Realities, because this time of crisis, virus, whatever you want to call it, is the passageway through the birth canal, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Crisis.
what's
I'm hearing
happening.
the word crisis, and I hear the word crisis.
Christ.
Crisis.
That's what I was
Christ
saying.
us.
Exactly.
Right.
So we're just going back, that we need crisis to go back into the Christ us.
We're being birthed as the Christus.
This morning, one of the preparations Michael and I were doing for today's portal was that this gateway was, Michael and I were holding each other, and again, as a sacred union, using the sacred alchemy. So the sacred sexuality is very different for us, the way it is expressed, because it is to alchemize, it is to use the breath to purify and transmute. So as we were laying there, we were aligning this, our physical garments in its opening of the 7 chakras above, the way it opens up to source light, and it funnels through this beautiful sort of like tunnel portal coming down, and it has to go back out and back in that toroidal field. So as we're preparing our bodies individually and together, coming into that, and that breath, because it does come in this narrow passage, and this narrow passage, the only way you can go through it is through your breath. There's no other way around it, and most people hold their breath in this. So they must move through it, through the back, to expand it, to bring it back out. So both passages are open, and that's where the sound, like when we go to the sound, what is true sound? When the sound opens up from the inner womb and it opens up to the cosmic sound. So that's also the sound of, when we say, when many individuals use their vessels as just a sexual quick energy, and even if they get to, they have experience of orgasm, it's just so short experience, where it can't bring the material goods, it can't bring the heavenly goods onto earth. And that was huge part of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, to use this frequency to pull in the gifts, the divine inheritance onto earth, but through the sound, that the feminine can really open the sound field to open the passages up. And these are the things that we don't talk about, because there's a lot around the Western Tantra and all of this that frankly we just don't resonate with at all, because I feel Val is in the same, because we recognize the sacred is a whole different experience. And when we pull it in, what happens? It's not just for us. That breath opens up the breath for all around us, and it is connected to the breath of the whale. So that's why that goes back to Lemuria. That's one of the things for years, Alan, I've taught the sacred ancient breath of the whales of, it's called Arasatna. And that, to open that up, it is the inner wisdom key encoded within us, because that's what brings the liberation. So I just wanted to share that with Val, because you and I, Val, we receive on that same breath.
Well, just going along with that, just going back to the original Mary Magdalene, if you want to call it that, that I think that she was the one that brought Jesus back to life after the crucifixion. She went into the tomb, and through that Shakti, through that tantric energy, through the grounding and the bringing in and the union, there was a resurrection, which is a symbolic of all our resurrections as we unite with the feminine and the masculine. That is the resurrection of incarnation. So
it's important to meet in the etheric realm as well as the physical realm. We can't forget the physical realm, and we can't forget the etheric realm as a divine couple. And that's what Mary Magdalene did. She sat by his body as a symbol that she is connected to him in the physical form, but she was also connecting to him on the etheric, on the astral plane. And so she did that, and she held that space for him, and that's what was important. She held that space on the planet, on the earth, so that he can be back here as he was. And but he also was not staying here for long, obviously, and she knew that, but they played their role, and we have to do that for each other, even with or without resurrection. We have to hold space for each other here on earth, as well as the etheric and the astral plane.
Well, that's the beginning of ascension, though, I think, because when you can bring the life force in and out and raise the frequency of the body, you can take that into the light realms, which is what our divine destiny is when we unionize inside ourselves, when we
Well,
ignite the cells. So you were
I
going to,
think I think Honey and Michael can relate to this, but there is no divine union if you're not connected on both planes.
yes.
It can happen.
And I'm glad, Valerie, that you spoke about the etheric and grounding, because I really feel at this moment where we're moving through, it's really about anchoring these codes, the Yeshua codes, the Magdalene codes, because we can see a lot of times when we're in that etheric level, we can be lost in there. We can be in a very high level in which everything is in this beautiful state of grace, but until we actually ground it into this 3D in our 5D, then we have that ability to expand that. And I'm happy that that was brought forward, because it's a constant daily practice that Honi and I do each morning in connecting with the divine, but really pulling it in, grounding it in. Because Alan, you know that we're in the metropolitan of DC, but we're in crystal fields. And we know that right here, this energy, this grid line that connects all the way into England, we're on powerful ley lines that it is important.
The Arcadia line.
Arcadia lines that is important for us to be in that route. And it's such a unique transformational time to stay in that alignment and focus. So thank you for bringing that up.
But no, talk about the codes a little more, because I think I would like to, have people watching access that so we can all move to that higher realm. If you want to share.
So the living codes are living frequency that is within the DNA. The DNA, as it is being expanded to its full access, and it is able to be accessed internally. And the heart is the key, because it has to connect with the crystalline diamond part of the heart that gives it the access, which has the 12 rays, the 12 codes, the 12 light, and there's so much more streaming in that. So individuals, we all have it coded, engineered inside of us, but it's not necessarily accessible. The thing that many light workers and star seeds that may forget, it is through these very difficult encounters that we do face, where when we meet the encounter or situation, because it's so heavy and dense and dark, when we come to it, we're able to then go through the initiation of going deep into its shadow and opening it up by the light that will spark, the spark of light that will spark inside, so we can access a part of that living code within us. And that's when it ignites. So then one of the codes, it becomes accessible because it's a living vibration of, let's say, one of the qualities of divine, say it's divine mercy or divine compassion. Each of them has a ray, each of them have a sound. So there are a lot of people that use the codes and they bring it, but they don't quite comprehend the sort of like the mechanics of it or the engineering of what is. It's not just the sound frequency you make, it is to move it through the transmissional field, through the fabrics of the body. So, but individuals who want to bypass this, they do not want to meet their shadow. They cannot resurrect. The resurrection is that spark. So one part is the, let's say, master beloved Yeshua that had his resurrection, but we all coming in that place to have our own individual resurrection, so that these living codes can become accessible, because there is no difference. The kingdom of heaven has already been stored within us, and we wore this, we accessed this in Lemuria and Atlantis, and we're beginning to, we signed up just so we can go through the most insane freaking experience in here. Like, a lot of times it's like, why? But we did it because it is through this way that we can blast it open in ourselves, and that's the last thing that opens within us through each initiation that becomes access. Or there are individuals like such as myself or even Val, we have been activated as transmitters in here because we've gone through ours, like mine being on the other side, being sent back, updated so that we can assist others to blast that within themselves if they're ready to hone it, you see. And I feel the other part of something that you both said, I want to bring it back to what Michael said, the role of us in these divine, when we are in this female form. The Magdalene is in both male, female. It's genderless. It's none of that. Whether you're non-binary, trans, it doesn't matter. It's within you. But what is so important is it has to be a living vibration. It cannot be in action from the step of the just masculine. That's the key, because it has to be birthed from the breath first and then coming forward. And that's what we're holding this space, because now moving from the toxic masculine to the sacred divine masculine, we as the container. So finally the sacred masculine can start to walk, for God's sake. Yes.
No, you're absolutely right. It's a living, I like what you said, a living vibration, because the masculine way, or the old masculine way, was to get knowledge through books or through someone telling you something, and then you think you have wisdom, but you don't have wisdom until you have the experience of, and that's the reason for the incarnation anyway, is to experience it embodied, the creation itself. So the feminine, the return of the feminine, is experiential embodied wisdom, you know. And me and Val talk about, is the masculine the grounding, or is the feminine the grounding? And I think, you know, it's the yin inside the yang and the yang inside the yin. It's like, it's both in a way. I think the masculine does ground the feminine, you know, for her to expand, and the feminine is also the grounding force for the male power and energy. So I think it's this sort of combination. What do you think, Val?
I agree with all of this. I wish I didn't, so I could bring in some controversy, but you know, I was
enough for that.
No, the breath is initiation. When we're born, we take our first breath out of the womb, and the seed of the masculine is what we are. We are the flower of, you know, of the seed, and so there's so much that in that there's codes the moment we're born, and they evolve. And every breath we take, they evolve and they grow. It's like growing a garden within ourselves. And I mean, it goes back to the breath. And my feeling is the internal alchemy is knowing that when we use our breath as this fire, this burning of purifying the body, that we can then connect to the original codes, because people have codes that are not clean, that are not pure, and they're connecting to these, you know, pain bodies and past life connections to, you know, the being hung or being traumatized, or even in this current lifetime. So their codes can be clean or can be pure, and unclean or pure. And we have to be careful what we actually connect to, because certain codes are there for you to realize that you have to have an awakening. And that's what happened with me, and that's what happened to Honi, that's what happened to Michael, and that's what happened to you. This is what's happening, and people don't realize, like, they're still holding on, but this is inside me, this is who I am. It's not who you are. These are the codes, they have to be released. But we have to all go through this purification process, and it all goes back to the breath.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's happening on a planetary level. You know, this whole thing about the virus, whatever you want to call it, is about the lungs, the breath. I mean, it might include other things, but here we're really, what's that?
It's all connected.
It is. Yes,
And,
Mike.
and what I feel, I mean, I'm an acupuncturist from an Eastern perspective, when we really look at the breath and how it expands, not only the oxygen, but the essence of our vital fluids to allow the empress of our heart to speak. And without our breath, there's no inner expansion. And I find what's so interesting now is in our 5D living and bringing forth this love, we are here to go into some of the densest, darkest areas and to breathe our love, the Magdalene voice, into these areas while still staying anchored, while still staying vital in our compassion to what I see in the frustration, the anger, the chaos of what's happening. And it's really our essence of our breath, just to keep ourselves in this presence, knowing that through our breath, we can expand it through our mental, our physical, our emotional, our spiritual well-being, and then be walking vessels of it into some of the strangest areas that we all see and stay centered in that. And it's so beautiful that it comes back to the breath, because that is our life. That is our essential chi. And we just have to stay patient.
So, like yesterday when we went for the day for the beach, it was so amazing because as we got there, there's signs everywhere, mandatory face masks wearing on all
State of Delaware.
public.
We had no clue. State of Delaware.
So mandatory on all public. And so, I have, I know Val knows this, and Alan, I have just all throughout this, I was like, my consciousness, I can't put that on. I will not, because it is a living violation to my consciousness. Like, that's literally the way I feel about it, because I can see, like, Val, in so many layers what it symbolizes, and I cannot give my frequency support that frequency. And there's compassion, but there's an area to have compassion. There's another one to not to give your consent to, where this is not, this is a whole different frequency. Anyway, so when we walked to the border, so they have guards everywhere too, which was so interesting. As you talk about it, it's interesting to also use examples. So I looked at Michael, I was like, Michael, listen to me. I'm gonna turn around. No way, I'm sitting on Mama Ocean Beach with a mat. Are you kidding? Because he knows me too. It's like, oh, don't let that side of me come out.
We're living from Maryland, which is a little lax. Delaware, this is the first time we were in Delaware watching signs ever. Even when you enter the beach, it says mask required.
So as we walked in, and Michael and I looked at it, we're like, listen, we're indigo crystal. We don't follow these. We didn't come to Earth to follow these things. We can't support it. So we walked in, and it was amazing. Everybody else on the beach did not have masks. We saw the most happiest people. I mean, I just started tearing. People so happy, all spread out, not a single mask, though they had mandated. So what does that say? They can mandate, but as a soul level, you come in, you recognize the voice of your truth, your voice of breath. I cannot support this. So I'm going to allow myself to be. What are they gonna do? So, and there's this collective energy on this beach. Michael and I look at each other with spark in our
Alan,
eyes.
it was like, honestly, it was like New Earth and Old Earth.
Yeah, like
we
right
welcome
here
to the
from
beach.
the boardwalk to
New Earth was like, you open the door and there was this frequency. Like, wow, when was the last time I was in a place that everyone was smiling and enjoying the waves? And we like the quietness and our patience. We like private beaches, but everyone was just enjoying life. And as soon as you walked off,
the sound of the children, so happy, right?
And so as soon as we walked on the beach, it was like everything just dropped away, and we're like, oh, this is our humanity. This is the fifth dimensional way of being, pure love. We looked behind us and we're like, wow, can we just stay on the beach forever?
And you could see everybody smile, and you could see you pass we're all smiling at each other, because this doesn't let you smile.
Your smile, you're
right.
Amazing. Like all these people with the mask, and feeling your own breath, and you're shifting your breath, and everyone's talking about suppression, being suppressed. What is this?
Move it.
It's the breath again, right? The breath.
It's all going back to the breath.
It's so amazing. So I want to share something with you with like Lemuria. So what's so interesting that when back in Lemuria, when we were learning to, you know, this hybrid energy of first becoming human. So through the land of Mu, we did not know how to breathe in here because we didn't have to worry about that in our other bodies. So as we're learning to be a human, there's this part of the breath. So when I had died, one of the scenes that I saw back in Lemuria when I was spirit side, it was so fascinating. I saw that I was helping individuals. There was another person who is in my life in this incarnation. Him and I were in charge of helping these beings that were becoming human learn how to breathe so that they can stay on earth. You see, it was so fascinating. The breath, okay, to be here, you have to breathe, but it had to do with earth herself breathing with her. You know, it was such a remarkable memory. And it was very much after that, that when I was returned back in the body, that I was sent by the Arcturians to this oracle, and to my total surprise, I had encountered with this whale that then that week, 1 week, I learned how to teach, how to learn the ancient sacred breath of the whales from 75,000 years ago, what was happening. So it was just so synchronistic, but that breath. So then we have the Lemurian energy that knows how to breathe. We have the Atlantic energy because the breath got cut through when it sank. So we have this merging, this land of America, where both frequencies are coming with this particular Arcadian line that connects all the way to Glastonbury, where you all are positioned, where we're clearing the breath of this, because this is what's hijacked humanity, not allowing them to remember what is already inside of them, what is their divine sovereign gift that no one can take away. They can attempt whatever, it just cannot be taken or nothing. It's yours, it belongs to you.
I just love what you said about the whales, because if you've ever been, I'm sure you've been around a whale, when they breathe through their blowhole in the ocean, it's like, that is magic. It's like, wow, that big thing is breathing, and it's all intentional breath. It's they don't have the same automatic breathing system. If they don't breathe consciously, they don't live, you know. So it's,
and they are part of the breath. So the master whales, Michael and I work very closely with the master whales. The master whales, their job on the ocean, they are caretakers of the breath of Mama Gaia. The way they breathe, they connect with the crystalline corridor of Gaia in her center, because the way that center blossoms into this rose, because her fifth dimensional frequency is this rose that's blossom, the petals are released through the breath. So those of us that know, we know like how intricate, how delicate, how sacred this perfection is. And that's why more and more people, when they go through the awakening, they're connecting to the dolphins, they're connecting to the whales, they're connecting to the Pleiadian consciousness and Arcturian and Syrian, because there's a connection to all of this, because it's all about the resurrection.
Val, what were you going to say?
So I'm going back to the breath. There's something that I used to do, I still do it, but it's skin breathing. And it's without, it's like breatharianism without, eating, right? You just live through your breath, but then you go to another level where you skin breathe. You don't have to use this channel, but it's connecting through the cosmos and Gaia, and that's a kind of like a reptilian, Syrian method of breathing, but we don't realize that when we do this thing called the skin breathing, now we're connecting ourselves to this reptilian, this fish-like being, what is it? The mermaids, they used to skin breathe, and fish in general, they skin breathe. So it all goes back to the roots of the breath. And I think, there's an initiation with Babaji that brought in the Kriya Yoga and the
rebirthing, yes.
I'm sorry?
And the rebirthing, that came from Babaji, the rebirthing.
Right. And, Babaji, he's He's also a part of the crystal light, and burning through those chakras one at a time was important. But we don't really have to do that now. We don't have to have this practice anymore, because there's come to the point where just knowing it can do it. And so, Honey and Michael, what you guys are doing, just bringing that awareness of the breath, is actually allowing for the initiation in itself.
Well, yeah, and I wanted to say, well, I also want to tell Michael, I'm also an acupuncturist. I studied that.
You
Really?
did study that?
Nice.
Beautiful.
Many years with Jeffrey Ewan, who's
Oh.
brilliant Taoist. Have you studied with Jeffrey?
Jeffrey, yeah, he was actually a teacher at Pacific College of Oriental Medicine.
Oh,
So,
where was that? Where'd you study?
in San Diego.
Oh, right. That's where it started. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pacific College.
Pacific College, and also New York and Chicago. But go ahead now.
Yeah, no. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. But you said something, and it just evoked the image that we're all born through the feminine, through the womb. That is like how we come into the world, through that is the sacred feminine, the womb. And so when we come out of there, the first sound we make is not a word, it's a scream or a cry or an expression that is not interpreted in the left brain like understanding of word. It is the breath of the Magdalene. It is pure expression. And I think this is what you're getting at, Honi, as the feminine, the Magdalene breathing is not something we want to control, but it's something that just comes out of us. And it's in everyone, because we're born with that expression in that first moment of breath.
I feel it's very important what both of you talked about, and I'm going to point this back to Michael, because I feel there's something very important in this, because the breath, Val, as so many of us that have gone through, you've been the leaders in bringing this consciousness through, but we started way earlier in going through the layers and debris and initiations and honing it. On the collective consciousness, this great awakening, many are still right far from that awareness. So they do need the assistance of individuals that can help them through the breath to be able to expand it. And having said that, one of the things that happened early on when Michael and I met, I'm a transmedium transchanneler, Alan. So Archangel Michael embodied, came through my vessel as an incorporated transmission, and brought a specific knowledge to Michael. So Michael, as one that actually works on the bodies to help individuals release the lifetimes of pain and suffering through their breath, while he does the specific thing that he should, to open the channels of the hands and the feet, so that this expansion through, and they have to create the sound. So if you want to take that, because it ties into this again.
And what I appreciate about, which I'll connect right here, is in that breath, and Alan, what you said is our natural expression, our divine blueprint is here to be expressed, it's here to be embodied, and it's here to be shared. And that is obviously, as we know, in our highest level of love, in our highest level of beingness. And what I find is a gift that we're all becoming brought into is through our Magdalene voice, through our feminine creativity, through our ability to fully share this with others, is giving the opportunity to release everything, not only just the divine, but the debris that are blocking that. And what I appreciate with the sacred visit of Archangel Michael is he was expressing that we hold lifetimes of pain and suffering within us. Interestingly enough, at the ends of our fingers and toes, which if we really look at where we place our feet on this sacred Gaia, where we use our hands to serve, and really to imagine the hand an extension of our soul, and to allow that sacred breath and sacred sound to voice that is giving that permission of that infinite power of light and love, our Magdalene voice, to naturally radiate into the resonance of the sound and light of the universe that connects us back to our hearts. And so I think it's a gift that the more we can express, the more we can breathe, and the more we we're giving ourselves that permission, then we're allowing that natural ascension within us to rise.
So it was so interesting. So when this was happening, what happened was it was a day that I was so down, just hit my end, and I was just like, and you know, we've gone through that. I don't know, Val, if you've gone through that, but there's been several times I was like, I just want to leave Earth. I can't bear anymore. I can't bear the pain of human suffering. It's so much on me. Like I can't take it. And when we had arrived in LA, and so Michael does work on me, and I was like, Michael, my hands hurt, but not from here. It's just lifetimes of this work. I'm so done. It's so painful. So he's like, let me just start massaging your hand. And it was massaging it. Every part was like painful, but it was the emotional, mental, etheric pain of, I could feel its lifetime. So as he was pressing it, I was like, ow, that hurts, ow, ow, ow. So my ow sound started going, ah. So usually when I go into sound, I go so far out, ah, then go out, but it's not scream, it starts going. So then my consciousness leaves. I go to about 2 feet about on the side of my body. I go into a little ball of herb, and like an herb side, and a presence enters. And this one happened to be Archangel Michael, but I can see everything in imagery. I don't have a memory. Everything is just imagery. So I was seeing that I was moving through this, like we're talking about this passage of pain, and the sound was helping me move through it. And we have the actual audio recording of it. The sound, like as the sound was going, helping me move through it. So what happened was, as a session, Michael was helping people like press on these movements so they can create the sound and the breath to help it. So it was like a huge transformation from coming in and coming on the other side of it, because each individual had to go through it themselves. And it's been incredible 3 years being a witness what it's like when people come with all these blockages and they open up to their sound and breath, and we tell them you have permission to make sound. They're so scared. And then once they open, they're like, what was that sound? Because the sound is ginormous what comes out. And the freedom. Wow to the freedom. And they're completely, they are themselves then again, you know.
Yes, and those are the codes that need to be released.
Yep.
And it's so beautiful to watch people waking up. I'm just thinking about that. I've never said this to you, Val, but I've known you like 10 years or something. And I saw when Val was born. I saw that moment where she was birthed into her divine presence. And it was so beautiful. It really filled the whole room. It was a gift to everyone there that this being was waking up to her divinity. And it just, I think that just adds to the frequency of the whole earth. So
thank you, Alan. You're making me tear up.
well, it was beautiful because now your awakened energy is giving so much back. So
thank you. I think grace hit me, and so there's this eternal gratitude for the connection to Source God. And I think many of us, especially whoever's watching here, wants that connection, and sometimes feels like they lose that connection, but we're all connected. It's just we've forgotten. And that's what I went through when I had my Kundalini awakening, is I've forgotten who I was. And so we're all just remembering, and the codes reactivate. And then when the codes reactivate, all of a sudden you become this wise, embodied person connected to God's source and remembering this ancient wisdom. And suddenly your heart is connected to everyone and everything. And all the shenanigans that are happening here on earth become ridiculous. And you're like, why are we doing this? And it's painful to watch. It's painful to watch humanity go through such childlike behavior. It's like a bunch of humans, a bunch of adults acting like children. They don't even realize it. Hurt children, that is. That's the problem. They don't act like playful, beautiful, loving children that they are. They act like hurt children, brats, you know, and we that are the ones that are awakened. And I'm not putting this as superiority. It's not something that's you're superior. It's like seeing through the walls, and they can't see through the walls.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to see that emotion come up in you, because as you remember and acknowledge that experience, it brings out the light.
It brings so much love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be a witness, I feel, is the greatest gift when we can just sit in the seat of that moment, because we know once that person has made that alignment back to its own source of creation, the job is done. Then they off they go, and only the highest service, only the highest good comes from here. You cannot do harm from here. It's impossible, because love guides the way, and it is, the path is illuminated, because you're constantly in that the presence of the greater witness witnessing you. So it's impossible to do harm from here, because that personal accountability is very high, personal responsibility, and it becomes a living devotion. And I feel that's why so many of us have I mean, many of us never resonated with gurus, because we could see through that early on. And then when we went through our own, we knew the job is an internal work, and that's why we cannot even leak that energy in that way. And also we truly recognize from that place that we are one. So when I open this with them myself and I serve from here, I'm serving me and others. The blessings only stream through my breath to everyone. That's why you cannot do harm in here. It's literally, I feel, impossible to do harm to anything or anyone from here.
Right. That awakened space. You're right. Right, Michael. Yeah.
And I feel that is the breath, and that is the voice of Magdalene. It's complete purity. It's the innocence that I feel is coming back, because Val, when I hear you, I go beyond childlike. I feel adults are acting childish. And in this childish behavior, we are now pillars of this light to bring that innocence back, to purify through our voice, through our actions, and most important, through our presence of all that's surrounding us right now. And it is a daily devotion.
I also want to add to what Honi said about witnessing, because witnessing is also initiation. I witnessed it when thou woke up, she brought the light into the planet. When Jesus and Mary Magdalene, because of their divine connection, look what they've brought here for 2000, or tried to, as far as the expression of love. So everyone who wakes up to the Christ within, the divine within, brings more light to the planet. It's and you're right, we can't do wrong in that place when we're in that alignment, but we're I was going to say waiting, but I don't know if we're waiting. We are actively pursuing this to bring it to everyone. Why not? It's our birthright.
And there's one distinction that I must add, and Val, maybe you can also speak to that. For me, what is complete knowing is that this voice of Magdalene, the breath of Magdalene, is also not one that is, it's very strong. It will not be suppressed. It has no problem speaking its truth and standing in it. So it is a supreme, I just really find a supreme breath, because it is so independent of its physical body. Like it's like, I dare to speak my truth and I'm not backing down. And and it's the accountability. I hold myself accountable for this in which I stand behind, because I'm standing in the presence of my own divinity and I'm not backing out, and I can see through. Does not mean, so there's this thing, well, there's this thing about what we know within a lot of spiritual community or love light, it's very frugal, it's very flaky, I feel, because it's not grounded. So, and it's like spirit of the wind, go with this side and that side, okay, all of that is okay, all of that is still okay, but I feel personally the voice of Magdalene is very, it is compassionate. The compassionate is so strong because it's not just empathy, sympathy, those are important. No, compassion means you are unafraid to also speak, to hold accountable, to commune from that place. And I feel that that's a, again, it's a frequency where you have been put into many situations that you have dared dared to speak out, where you know you'll be shunned, you are shamed, you are, I mean, and we have made many choices in there, and it's been like, and that's the voice that's still here, because we also are clearing those debris from many of our incarnation after the time of Christ, so that we can embody it and not have it hold any more a frequency over us, so we can truly, in this incarnation, in order to bring deliver the crystals light, the golden age, we have to be free in our voice, and that voice is the key to everything, because yeah.
And this is the mask. The mask is so, it's a violation. It's an absolute violation. And people think that this way of thinking is absolutely even a small thing though. So I completely agree with that, honey. It's the Magdalene voice has integrity and is completely responsible to the alignment to source wisdom. And there is absolutely no mistake in that voice. And it sounds egotistical, but it's not.
Well, Val, as Honi was speaking and talking about the voice, I was thinking, if you want, it's up to you to bring through some of those divine sounds and frequencies, and maybe Honi, Michael, whoever. But yeah, I love when you sort of go into that place. So
Honey, can you and Michael do your
Sure.
thing, and we'll
do a little bit of that, because we have, well, I feel you love this one.
oh, beautiful.
gorgeous.
Yeah, because it has the Vistica. So, Michael, do you want to grab yours too?
Sure.
We'll put it a little bit further out. Maybe, you know what? I won't be on. Can you be on the thing, and I'll that's perfect.
Yeah, because this is really the frequencies of the codes we're talking about as we're here at this gateway, this portal, and you never know what you're going to do you, Val? It just comes through.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about this work that you're about to do?
Yeah, just 1 second, please. So, in order for the sound to be so, come back a little, or just stand here, my love. Yes. So that because we're using the microphone.
Yes,
sometimes it
doesn't come through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does kind of the high pitches, but
it's the frequency, it's too high.
Yeah.
But it's okay. So
yeah.
So this would be just a very short way of maybe I'll just move this a very short way of feeling into the frequency fields and allowing. Already I'm receiving. I'll be taking it through the. It would be the Pleiadian Magdalene voice that will be bringing it. So it will be from the 7th dimension through this blue rose, and then the blue rose in Gaia. So we'll be anchoring that. And let me just remove this. So what I will just have everybody do in this place will be probably just a few minutes on it. And the importance of this is it will be just wherever you're sitting, stay in your heart. And I really recommend putting your hands on your heart and uncrossing your legs or laying down, whichever feels the best to you. And while just Michael is starting this sound, I will ask you to please, from your heart, just visualize first your heart in this golden ball of light or a, a crystalline diamond light, and start breathing into it to breathe it to your outer body. And from here, connect it straight up to source and connect it straight down to the heart of Gaia. I want you to just stay in there from this entire time as Michael will start the soundboard, and I'm going to prepare in just a minute or so, and I'll start allowing the transmission of the codes to come in. There will be, it's kind of, you'll see. Okay, just stay here and breathe. Okay, all right. So take deep in breaths and dear hearts. And breathe out through your mouth. And go back to the in breath. And breathe it out. And again, circulate it back into and breathe out ever so gently. With each breath you take deep into your presence, open up more in your outer breath, in your bodies, to release what you don't need right now. So I'm going to connect with you with the breath. So you can breathe in a few more times in here. Take deep breaths in. Feel into that sacred heart space. Release more. And again, breathe it back in. And watch this beautiful sphere of light inside your heart, or the diamond light, or even the Merkaba, or the pyramid expand for each breath of love you take. Breathe it out to your physical, to your emotional, to your mental, to your etheric and spiritual body, until it expands all out of you. A deep breath into your hearts. And release. A couple more deep breaths, connecting it all the way through the upper chakras, your 7 chakras, the upper chakras, all the way to source light, and all the way through your physical body, 7 chakras, and the lower 7 chakras all the way down to Gaia and these 21 chakras, honoring this beautiful 7-7 gateway. Breathe in and breathe out, relax. As we call in the golden sacred pyramid of light to be placed upon all of us in this now, so only the highest vibration of light may interact with us. Anything less than the divine perfection of the crystal's light may not interact. As we allow also the beautiful lighted flame to surround each of us. So all debris that will be transcending into the light can transform and transcend back into the light where they belong as we move into the trust of the divine plan, breathing in, breathing out, being held by the power of divine love above us, below us, in front of us, behind us, to our left and to our right, honoring the 7 directions. Take a deep breath in, hold it, and release out of your heart. And another one. One more. And final one.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Mm.
Honey, so I wanted to say to both of you, as you were doing this, I was seeing jellyfish everywhere.
Yay.
I'm looking it up right now, and it says meaning of jellyfish as a spirit animal is love. If the jellyfish as your spirit animal appears at a certain moment in your life, it means that you should let your heart guide you in your life path. It means that love is your power and your strength. So you don't have to feel vulnerable. You should try to show it more and love people around you.
Mm.
So beautiful.
Oh. Val, do you want to do a little of your light frequency? Because
Let's do some light language, and maybe you can join me, all of you, okay?
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Rosso cotriaia saprafs, proscio potria terastros, manastira parafatira stotaraia tatais, na manaftis. Rasti atrapatos tira paras ina manash. Prafarosho priakatro manasti patos. Rasti karapatira la parana sidara. Yana yana na na manasam. Oh yeah. Trayana manaya rasanaya.
Mm. It's like a breath of fresh air, the frequencies of these sounds. Thank you both for bringing in the actuality of the divine feminine. It goes beyond the mind, you know, it goes beyond this. I was trying to put things into a box. So you, and it gives me energy. I don't know about Michael or anybody else. I feel energized.
I feel that's the embodiment of the Magdalene, and great gratitude and honor that we have these beautiful, sacred, divine, feminine embodiments as we are Alan, but just the voice through the divine holds such an illumination that it's like the tears of the heart flow through the eyes and awaken our spirit. And
beautiful.
It's almost hard to put words behind it because it's beyond words.
Yes, that's what the sounds are. Exactly. Beyond words. And
it's so interesting because I just want to say this one thing, and then you guys can close if you want. But
no, let's.
I was feeling so many of us are losing touch with the poetry of words, and because we're left with nothing to say. It's just sound vibration. Because even in the poetry of words, there's the mind, and there's sometimes even the pain of it. And we're losing touch with that. And this is why poetry in itself is being lost. And even music is transforming, and we're losing touch. We're grasping for music that can really vibrate on a soul level, but all it's doing, it's vibrating on this pain, the pain body level. But when Honi and or myself or anyone that can connect to the soul vibration, then we can transcend and transform.
you know, that's why the sacred language were so important, because the word itself was the vibration of the thing. And this is what incantation or prayer, sacred prayer, brings us back the vibration, or even what you were doing, those sounds mean something to our cellular structures. And we are, I think Val, I think we're saying we need to get back to the sacred languages.
Well, it's primordial sound because
Yeah.
like when I receive them, I see their pattern of geometric forms and their vibration movement. So I'm sounding what I'm seeing and hearing. So it's just coming in and I get to experience it and it moves through my body. So when I do the light code transmission activations, for example, the codes that we talk about, like the multiple languages and so many different languages go through each of the clearings of the bodies first. And then when the living stream come in, that's a whole different frequency. But I get at the very end, I get individuals to a certain place that's right at the heart of source light, and I get to hear the origin of their sound, and I get to vibrate it just briefly because it only gives me about a less than a 30 seconds window, that because my octave of light is so expanded at that moment that I can access it. Like here, I just cannot. And then I get to experience their sound vibration, and I sound it out the way it's coming from source. So like before they were before they became an incarnation as a soul, when that heartbeat created just for sound, it had a sound. So that's where I can access and sound it out back in their field. And what happens after the session is finished, I said, did you hear that? They're like, they're usually in so much tears, like, I know this. Can you bring a couple of those just so I can show you what it looks like? Because it's the primordial initial sound without form. And we can all meet in the same place because it is formless. It is the language of the mother. It is the language of divine mother that is from the source when it wants to first be created. And that's why we resonate, because a lot of the music and all that, Michael and I, much of it we don't listen because we can see now the incongruity of the it doesn't stream. It's like disharmony, and the disharmony, we don't like it when it meets our vessel. Like for example, I have like hundreds of this, like a sound like this, for example.
What is that? How do you make that sound? Can you say
So
some of that?
yeah, I'll make a couple. So they're always squiggly, you know, and like, so, and like for example, this one. And this is individual sound. So I'll make a couple of sounds for you. It's going to be loud, okay? Just
Okay.
1 second. I'll step back just so you can hear a person's sound. Let's see.
Do these sounds have meanings, or they?
No, they're not interpretable, because what they are, they're not even coded. What happens is like it's a frequency field when and then I teach the person how to make this sound. When they sound it out, it carries body of knowledge from their multidimensional body. When they sound it out, they bring it into this plane, and it becomes material knowledge that they can access. So
they're all codes.
so
Yes.
let me share
exactly
there are a couple of different ones just so you can hear. Okay, so I'm gonna do this one.
Yeah, hold it up.
No, because I have to sit. I don't remember these, so I'm just gonna.
Nice.
So that's one sound. But there are like, they're vibrating. So they're golden liquid light. And when they're pulling, and what happens when it pulled in, then it vibrates into particles of light. And the particles of light contain each material knowledge. So when they sit in the presence, they experience they can access their higher dimensional bodies and pull that material into this plane. That's what it's for. And that's the sound of their
when they from a soul inception, when they first became a heartbeat, is this sound. And yeah, so should I make one more just so you can
Yes.
get the difference?
Just to show the difference of the frequency.
Yeah. Okay, this is a very interesting one. So this one, the sound is do ga. Okay, let's see how it works. And after, it's like a sigil. Okay. But what happens is I experience these inside of me, and then I feel like completely like, it's always funny bringing myself back, because this happens at the end. Person has to come back. I have to come back. We have to go through all the resources, come back into here. None of us want to ever, you know. We all want to stay up in the sound of there.
Just demonstrating how sensitive we all should be, to frequencies, to vibration, because that's, we've lost touch. The same thing with what you're saying about words. We've lost touch with our ability to feel frequency. You're the divine feminine, the Magdalene codes is connecting us back into a sensitivity.
That cannot be articulated, it cannot be grasped, it cannot be contained, because you can only flow in it. And I feel that's the challenge with the masculine that will have around this, unless they have opened up to their divine feminine, to their own inner Magdalene, then they can also stream with it, and then they can allow their true sacred divine masculine walk on earth. I feel that's the key to this.
That's the sacred marriage too. That's the divine Hyros Gamos. That's why we're here today.
That is, and it goes back in the keys. It's amazing because the keys are, also, people don't realize that it's a galactic quality as well. It's a galactic term that we use. And the keys, we have so many, there's so many portals within our own selves that we have to open the doors to, and we have the keys within ourselves. Some of us remember and some of us don't, but we're all trying to remember. And some of the keys, somebody else holds them, like a sacred partner.
No, we're coming into that, the awareness of the keys and the code activations. I mean, this is also what I think this time is all about.
Yes, and Honi and Mike, and yourself, Alan, and myself, we unlocked the portal today through this conversation, through the energy that we bring. I'm vibrating right now. I don't know about you guys.
We're very sweaty. I have sweat dripping.
I do the same thing. I sweat. But that's what we're doing.
Were you going to say something, Michael, there? About...
I just want to I'm a loss of words, because when I hear the activations, my frequency goes so high. So what I'm just expressing is just the depth of gratitude that we can all come forward together in the invitation of Val and Alan, of you setting this up, and really just bringing our presence together, because we know this is the rise of the divine feminine. And I know within the sacred masculine, it is the voice of the Magdalene that is coming through us within each gender, and within my own experience within a masculine body, and within you, Alan, I'm sure you can resonate within yourself, is to really to lead by our hearts and allow these to be placed into our daily life as much as possible, and cherishing those that have walked really these paths in such hardness and the duration, the suppression, to give the highest honor, respect, but most important, celebration. Because right now I feel like the Magdalene within all of us is being celebrated within this month of July, and really being brought forth in this golden age, which I can feel the goosebumps rising through me right now. Like she's coming through and just saying thank you, because it is that gratitude of celebrating her, you know, of all these years of what has been placed in another direction. We're now embodying and embracing that. And for me to stand by my beloved and to, you know, just be on this call with you, dear hearts, it's a gift that we get to honor, and all those that are listening, just to come back to our Magdalene hearts and just say thank you.
It was so cute. I have to say this, when we were in south of France at René Lechet, and it was so cute. When we were getting ready to leave, Michael was like, I need to go walk around the town. I was like, okay, I'll meet you at the bottom. The castle, the tower, and the castle. Just, you know, like 5 minutes, we can walk around the whole thing.
Which tower?
This is René Lechet.
Oh, yeah.
So it was so good, because, you know, every year we positioned south of France for years, doing our thing with the planetary work. But it was so cute when I was waiting for him. He came, he's all tears. And I love Michael and I can cry so much together. We cry so much together. It's like the best. And he came, he's like, she talked to me. I was like, who? He's like, Mary Magdalene. And you just like sobbing. And I was like, and I was crying. I was like, I'm so glad I almost went off the hill, but that's okay. The brakes
weren't working.
And it was, and I was like, but Mary Magdalene helped me. But
and what just happened now was the same experience. It was just this blissful feeling of like, thank you for your divine heart, thank you for your divine love, and thank you for expressing it in your divine nature. And I feel each of us have done that in such a beautiful way today to really bring forth what is happening in this world and on the 7-7 frequency. So it's so enriching and so such medicine.
That is beautiful, Michael. You're reminding me how much the feminine brings me back to my heart too. I mean, that's the awakening for me, in that connection, that feeling of that. Because it's, for me, it's the other, it's the part that, you know, connects me back to the wholeness of being.
We call that deliciousness, Alan. When he goes, I'm like, you're so delicious. And he feels something like, oh, you're so delicious, because it's so like crystalline delicious, you know? And there's nothing more delicious, that state when we are like that. Oh, we experience ourselves in like the ultimate diamond frequency, which is all crystals, right? It's so delicious. Like I get like this.
And I feel,
it brings in joy. It does.
Totally.
And Alan, I feel like in our masculine forms, this is our feminine Christed heart that is here to lead by example for all the awakening masculine and feminine, but particularly the masculine, that I know, and being reminded quite honestly of where our role is to support and honor this rise of the feminine divine, because we know that it is within us as our respectable divine masculine garments, but also our ability in our own communication, in our beautiful men that are awakening to really share what is within our hearts, in the grace, in the love, and the compassion, and to lead by that on a daily basis.
Beautiful, Michael. Yes, I love holding that space for the feminine, because it activates me and all of creation. So thank you.
And I always tell Michael, I said, you know, Michael, I can support the masculine, take it to a certain level, but you are the one who's got to lead your other brothers. Like, and so he does a lot of sacred divine masculine to assist, and also so they can be themselves in a sacred environment where they can feel safe being this divine masculine consciousness that has embraced its Magdalene frequency, you know. So, and I feel so beautiful for their coming out. I feel we walked out, you know, we walked before, like it's time for you all, the coming out. I mean, we feel like many who were in the heterosexual and transgender, but they've had their coming out of the closet. We've come out of the spiritual closet. It's just time for the men to come out of their divine masculine closet. Like, hello, we're waiting for you. Come on, you know.
It's the awakening of the heart that I feel is what
We don't have really role models, Michael. You're You're a great example of someone who's brought.
And all I can say, and as you, Alan, because I feel it is our dear wise ones that have stepped before us. I can only bow to my mom and father, who are the way showers, the original Ram Dass, the ones that came forward in the 60s and 70s through the help of their beautiful expansion of that revolution, psychedelics and everything else that brought them into their higher consciousness as they went into it. And so I bowed to the leaders, to the elders, and to those that are speaking their truth from their experience. And that's what I honor, Alan, today is we're sharing our experiences. Yeah. We're sharing what speaks through our heart. And that to me is the wisdom. It's the golden nuggets that really help activate everyone that's here on this call today.
We're moving into a new time, and I just wanted to say, Val, next month is the 8/8. That is the Lion's Gate.
Yes,
So,
my favorite.
Yes, we should do a special. I mean, this is special, of course, but
we opened the way for very special, because that's that 8/8 is
the Lion's Gate is the gateway to the Pleiades, really, and the Syrian connections, and that happens on 8/8. So
well, but the Syrian gateway has already opened. It started a few days ago. We are in it, and then it's going to continue. Then it's going to take the center alignment is on 8/8. For several years, we were assigned in Mount Shasta for that particular Stargate, working with that. It's profound. And I feel this year, of course, 8/8/2020 is going to be the ultimate. And it couldn't be more important, because with just what's happening on a planetary level, and again, the opposing forces doing their desperate work to create even more separation on that. And so as we just giving ourselves permission to be anchored even stronger. And I feel like calls like this, we come together, we support the energetic field of the frequency field of this light vibration very strongly. Like tonight, we'll be back on our every week that we've been doing, just sitting in that, anchoring it. Like these are extremely important. It's not just a conversation. There is an action behind the scene that is creating the strength that is needed, because for so long the opposing frequency has had their strength, and now it's time for us, the team of light, to really pull this together. And 8/8 is a big one for us.
I see it as like light weaving.
Yes,
I weave my light and I connect to yours, and it's like building webs of light across the globe.
So what do you think is coming up? What are you feeling, Val, as far as frequency shifting?
I feel like we're going back into that lion heart, the loyal, royal, fierce lion heart, because right now there's a lot of lower energies that are coming through and want to scare us away from our sovereign selves and really be more dependent on something outside of ourselves, and really want to scare us with being, this, like, they're taking on a whole nother level of duality where we can't look at each other. People are scared of each other. Are you sick? Are you not sick? It's really, they've done a good job, but people like us will not fall into those traps. So I think the lion heart is going back into that, the lion's gate, the Hathor heart, the original Syrians that came here, and bringing back that energy, that fierceness, that boldness. And we're not scared. And who's scared of dying here? I'm not scared of dying. Go ahead. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go when I'm going to go. Stop trying to scare me with death.
I think what I feel as we approach the 8/8/2020, it's a kind of igniting of this, something that's been kind of like a fuse that's been burning, and boom, there's a chance to really bring the earth to a cosmic awareness. I mean, it's happening. July 14th is UFO Contact Day, if you've been following the Harmonic Convergence 2020 stuff. So I hope everyone goes out and starts to call in these beings, because we've been living in a very small bubble of creation, and it's so vast and so much is possible that we haven't even thought of. We are living on just a small corner of possibility. So what's coming is this awakening of the greater mind and miracles, real miracles in being. So we're really shedding this old shell, this old skin. And I think part of the lion's gate is this coming into the light frequencies that have been waiting for us to wake up. So here we are. So
I
we'll,
feel it also is Earth, the way Earth is positioned with her living libraries, and when it aligns to this Helios Vestas and it connects to Alpha Omega and it connects to through the central sun, through the galactic sun to source sun, that direct path into us, it's so it is the it is so direct in the crystal slide. So I feel many of us in our incarnation here are at different level. So those of us like me, Val, Alan, Michael, we're on this side already. We just hone it in. Like there's not much for us to do. There are the other ones that have had the split energy inside. It's a real opportunity, gift that awaits here now. You got to anchor because on a soul plane, you agreed to take part in this. Here it is. Here is complete access. Here the vibration field has been set, move into its vibration alignment. And then at the same time, then there's the next level where those who have purposely denied their light and have chosen to side by the dark, they're going to have a little bit of a kick into their bombs because they have also received that the dark is also waiting for them. See, the dark has a huge role, which most people don't talk about. I have a lot of respect for the dark forces because I'm not here to support them, but I'm here because I have so much respect. I have met a council of Draconian. I have met like directly like this. So there is a lot of experience in this. There's respect because their job is here for you to clear your debris, align with the supreme oneness of yourself, so that way the energy also transforms back into light. Because that in which been feeding off of your energetic field, they'll be able to withdraw it. Their part is to withdraw that because they too will also eventually transform back into light. So the Galactic Federation of Light has been waiting for Earth to move to take a seat on the Galactic Federation of Light as a council member, but it can't do it. It needs more of us to align with her in that divine presence of the omnipresence of its oneness. So she, together with her humanity as the new Gaia, can take this seat. So there's so much involved around here, and I feel this particular 8-8, because it falls on 2020, the gateway of 2020 as we moved into this year was all about divine alignment. So it's like a sort of like a tsunami, earthquake, hurricane, and what's another one? Typhoon. There's another one. Whatever. All of that.
Yeah, it helps purify us. It helps us push
Definitely
the
push
good
you to
for the
where you
light.
have to be, right?
And don't you feel,
and to help them the others.
and all that you've said, I feel like, don't you feel we've been training for lifetimes and lifetimes to get where we are? And it's the ultimate test to say, how can I stay in this frequency, in this vibration, to stay above it all? Because that love and compassion from the Magdalene voice is really here to apply it to the dark, to the bad, to all the things that are testing us, because that too wants to transform in its ascension process.
Exactly, because it's so important to be embodied, because then we can sense the good and the bad, and we listen to what is pulling us towards this awakening, what doesn't feel good. Not that it's necessarily bad, but if we are in a lower frequency, that doesn't feel good anymore, and we are embodied to know that now. If you're around, I'm not, well, maybe people smoke cigarettes or whatever, but if I'm around that energy, I feel brought down. So and that reminds me of what I can be, of who I am. I mean, just a little bit of alcohol for me brings me down, or anything like that. So all those other forces are there to remind us how to stay aligned, in a sense.
Yeah, definitely. There are help. I feel like that's what one of the things Michael and I do. We don't do any entity removals, anything like that. Years ago, Team Above said absolutely not, because individuals have to take their own personal responsibility, because then they will not have any kind of, they won't have that. And so once you take that personal responsibility, it goes back to the divine sovereignty. You accept that as that being your true vibration. And from that vibration, then what's interesting, you also help in a whole different way. You don't, you don't go push and pull or any of that. You accept individuals where they are, but by your presence, by being an embodied of what is possible, you open that within all the fields of consciousness. And so we don't go out to do that. We remain right here. And that's what assists in opening in just the remembrance. And and I feel the other part of this, Val, probably you will very much relate. As the voice of the Magdalene consciousness, the Magdalene on Gaia, we know what part is ours, what part is not ours. So there's no tug of, like, there are all these things happening. We don't like, okay, that's not my part to go. It just isn't. You remain very much on where you are, where the path is illuminated. And you, because before you want to do this, you spread out on so many areas, because there's that part, I need to help everything and everyone.
Yeah,
How
talk
does
about
that go to work?
Val, the illumination of the path, because you're so focused.
It took a while.
Mm.
I think you know, when you move into the light, you do see it as a global event, and that you do want to be with all, and including beings, animals, all kinds of, you know, all multidimensional, and I do sometimes do that, but your service becomes more refined as you know yourself more. It's all about just self. It's always reflecting back within yourself and knowing where you came from, who you are, and then it reflects back outward. So
Yeah, no, thank you. It's all been really enlightening, uplifting. I got a lot of great feedback on the live chat on YouTube. Lots of love. Somebody says, oh my God, you just helped me feel more confident about speaking out about injustice that has happened to me. I will conduct myself with integrity. And Guy is the heart. I love listening to all of you. Thank you, tremendous. So anyway, it's just so
beautiful.
thanks. So Val, we'll talk about the 8-8, but
yes, but thank you, Honi and Michael. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Our pleasure. It's a gift. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Val. Thank you, Honi, for this opportunity on a special date of the 7/7 to share this, because I feel, as you all feel, there's this energy that's just been lifting, and I'm excited now to take this energy out. Really, what we're all here to do is to share, to create, and to really stay above it all. As I tell all my friends and clients, is just how we can just keep the frequency vibrating as high as possible. And you know, what I see within each and every one of us is that opportunity to keep just shining that golden crystalline light. So
well, thank you for your beautiful beingness. I didn't know about you, so I'm really happy.
I figured you two would enjoy each other. And Valerie said, hey, Valerie, I feel like Alan and Michael will have a field day.
Oh, I think they have so much in common.
No, I appreciate that.
And we thank so much. We just so much love for our beloved Stellar. Alan, you have a great, you have Stellar and John there. They are amazing and really, really beautiful. And
we'll do this again. We'll do this.
What she brings forward, that's a whole nother level. It's just much respect, much respect.
We'll do a divine feminine ignition of frequencies. So
yeah, we're gonna take off though.
Mm.
I know that, you know, we'll be beamed up right away.
Yeah, we just beam up.
That's
So
our way.
to wrap up, what's coming up for you guys, Michael and Honey, and then we'll go around and talk to everybody.
Well, right now we are anchoring. I mean, most specifically, right now we are anchoring these frequencies for our new sacred space because we are in a we're in a
We have to move.
we're in a beautiful state of transition, and I feel like it's the perfect time to really stand in in the depth of what we are devoted to right now. And I feel like it's been a beautiful journey of really bringing in our pureness of our love to our hearts into the 3D,
into the real estate,
into the real estate of where we're going to actually anchor ourselves. Because just by going to the beach, our whole goal, everything has been shifted until our home is actually brought forward in that. But I feel that in the works, we are in the planning of working and releasing a beautiful book, Channeling of the Masters.
Yeah, that will be coming.
That will be coming out soon.
And during the COVID, we experienced also in a different level of Michael and I. Sometimes we team up working on individuals, but they showed a whole different way of working with individuals. So we have a couple of really exciting things, which we're so excited for in-person sessions to facilitate. We love when Michael's team, my team come together and we both bring it into healing frequencies, and we do a lot of events. Tomorrow I have Valerie on the Alchemy short video series. I'm so excited with that. That's on the YouTube channel at Honeybee. So I'm so excited we get to.
That's the Honeybee YouTube channel. You guys are talking?
Well, that one is, that one's Michael and I have our own YouTube channel, Ascension Alchemist. And that's every Tuesday night. We have the meditation. That's tonight at 7:45. We go live. It's very short till 8:30, where we prepare the body. So everybody's invited to that. And once a month, we have our Sacred Sunday spiritual service. This is very important. It's like our Sunday church where we bring the messages of divine through the I Am presence. And we always have a guest speaker. These are always free. We have a lot of free events because it's very important to support the community of light. This month I have a few guests for the Alchemy video series because of the Magdalene. It's very important to prepare for the 8/8. And on Magdalene Feast, I will have I'll have a Zoom ceremonial gathering where individuals can join.
When is the Magdalene Feast? What day is that?
It's the 22nd, so 2 weeks from tomorrow. And that's at that's a big day for us Magdalenes. Like,
no surprise, Val.
Yeah, but we won't have the ceremony. Last year we had the whole purification ceremony and then the anointing here. And it won't be because we're packing and we're in the middle of that to move end of the month. Yeah, so we're to the right place. We haven't found it yet, but we'll move in the right place.
The divine is showing
exactly.
us.
And we travel for hours because every September, Alan and Val, we're gone 6 weeks for our Europe tour and sometimes other Middle East, but that I have done. But we're not traveling at all. We know we have to be here, and particularly with the elections coming up. And 4 years ago, I had come back from my Europe tour. We did quite a bit here around Washington, D.C. with the Galactic Shamanic Summits, and that's where I met Michael actually at my event. And so we're back in that place where we know we have to hold the light very strongly with our with the family of light here.
Grounding and anchoring the energies, which I feel each of us are respective in our beautiful areas to just anchor and ground.
So, Val, what's happening for you? Anything coming up?
Well, nothing in person, so everything's online. I'm doing a Mirror program, which is basically it's a priest initiation into the essential oils alchemy, and it's a spiritual experience of connecting to the oil spirit, but also connecting to the inner child. And so it's a healing process, but also initiation of priestess of the oils. And then of course I have the Magdalene tribe, and that's an initiation every month. I give teachings and healing and all kinds of juicy stuff. but but I'm not doing anything outside of that. You know, during this time I'm doing a retreat and I'm doing so many different things, but we're being called to stay grounded, and we're being called to focus more on our family lifestyle, I believe, and friends that are local, and but then we have to remain in this kind of connection.
Yes. Yes.
Right. No, and for me, I'm doing a lecture for the Harmonic Convergence 2020. Do you know about that? That's
Yes.
going on from the 5th to the 14th, and I'm doing this with the Her Talks about the coming of our cosmic family and how to just we there everything's right here. It's all here. We just have to expand our sensitivity to know that what we've been told who we are is been a lie. We've been shut down and limited, and now we're so much more than what our religions and media and politics and even our families have told us we are. So we have to just realize the capacity of the human potential as great beings. All of us, each one of us is so much more fantastic and unbelievable in a way than we've been told. So this time, this thing that this guy Mark Sims created, this harmonic convergence, is about us. It's about creating us. So I'm doing a lecture with the Hertogs, JJ and Desiree Hertog, the Keys of Enoch, if you know their work,
Yeah,
on
sure.
on July 12th, and then on July 14th, it's World Contact Day, or someone just said it. Every day is World Contact Day, but
For us, it's every day.
Every day.
Earth Day every day. But call out to your local family and say hello, and then we'll do the 8-8. I think we haven't talked about that, but yes, I definitely.
Yes, we will be in connection.
Yeah, so look here on this YouTube channel and maybe others. And
So what is how can they find you, Honey and Michael?
yeah.
So best really for us is we don't have website or anything because we had to shut everything down as Spirit had said, and we're literally it's just through social media. So we would love individuals to join us on our page, which is Ascension Alchemist. So 2 years ago, Team Above told us our work is called Ascension Alchemy, and we are going to have Ascension Alchemy Academy. So where a lot of the teachers will come. So we started with Ascension Alchemist because that's exactly that's our work, you know. And so Ascension Alchemist Facebook page and Instagram. My page, like you, I have my own individual page, which is Honi Bowden, author, speaker, healer. That at some point that name will be changed. At this point, it's a lot that is just shared through that. And but that page is a really good one because I share a lot through that. And we both have our individual pages, and on Instagram I'm really, and on YouTube is a big one, is the Ascension Alchemist and also Honeybee, because that's where we quite a bit share through there. And I'm behind Michael. He's been amazing to come more on videos the last year because it's so important, these platforms, how important they are to show up, and the frequency of what these platforms of videos are is exactly like that light, because anybody that comes into seeing it, they're activated through the language in which we are communicating. That's why I really support video calls and interviews or gatherings or whatever. They're very, very important right now.
Beautiful exchange.
Right. Well, Val, we should do another Out There, something out there. It's our series.
Coming. But thank you so much, guys. I love you.
Thank you.
Love you, Val, so much. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
You, Val.
Thank you
I'll
so
see you.
much.
Yeah,
Have
this
a
is
beautiful day on this gateway. Let it be the rest of your day.
Yes, let it flow.
I'm glad we're all on the same frequency. And thank you everyone who's watching on YouTube for all your beautiful comments and energy in supporting this. So
Yes.
thank you.
And we'll share this video then on our pages after we finish, when it's finished.
Yeah, the same link that
can-
I put out there. So It's Alan
And if it can be
Steinfeld.
support to you both, please do feel to reach out, you know, like we're all in
Definitely.
it together. That communication is very important.
Mhm.
Well, have a beautiful, blessed day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love you. Valerie, I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
More juiciness.
You
exactly.
guys, Alan Steinfeld, Val, Marie, and Michael and Honi.
Thank you.
Honeybee, yeah. And Michael.
Blessings.
Yeah.
Blessings.
So much love. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Alan
Thank you,
Steinfeld.
everyone.
And thanks for watching.
Thank you.